Kate and John Coleman are an ordinary married couple expecting a new addition to the family. But joy is replaced by horror. The baby turns out to be stillborn. The girl, wrapped in a bloody cloth, becomes a symbol of loss and the beginning of a nightmare that will haunt Kate every night. Months pass. The scars on her body heal. But Kate's soul resembles a scorched wasteland. Infertility becomes a verdict. The woman sinks into alcoholic oblivion, trying to drown out not only the pain, but herself. Alcohol becomes her companion, but one day she realizes that alcohol is not the way to fight depression and quits drinking. After that, life seems to start getting better. Kate plays the piano, John takes care of the children. At night, before bed, their deaf-mute daughter asks her mom if she will ever have a sister. Kate shares her thoughts with her husband and suggests that he adopt a child. Soon the family decides they are ready to give love to someone who needs it. At the orphanage, they meet Esther, an unusual girl with a porcelain face and a look in which something wrong lurks. She sings, draws, talks like an adult. Her background is strange too. She's from another country. Her adoptive parents burned in a fire. But Kate and John pay no attention to that. That's how she ends up in their home. She quickly learns sign language and gets close to Max. But Daniel, the Coleman's son, senses danger. In the morning, Esther walks to school, wearing a strange vintage dress, as if it came from an old man's trunk. "I just like being different," she says. Daniel shoots a paintball gun and accidentally wounds a pigeon. The bird thrashes helplessly in the snow, twitching its leg in its last convulsions. And then she, Esther, appears. Coldly, almost indifferently, she advises the boy to kill the suffering bird with a stone. Daniel refuses in horror. But Esther has no sympathy and does not hesitate to hit the bird with the stone. Night falls in the Coleman house, and with it comes anxiety. Kate notices that the door to Esther's room is always locked. The girl sings, plays alone and hides something from her foster mother. At school, Esther faces bullying. In response to their bullying, she screams, scaring not only the children but also the adults. In the evening, Esther observes John and Kate during their intimacy, with the cold, attentive gaze of an adult. Kate notices this and decides to explain things to her in adult terms. But Kate is surprised by her reaction. She knows more about him than a 9-year-old should. The next day, she notices the girl who bullied her at school and decides to take revenge. While her mother is talking to Keith, she pushes her down a slide. There is the crack of a bone breaking and a scream of terror. At home, Esther acts as if nothing has happened. She plays the piano professionally. Although she had previously claimed she could not play the piano, Kate becomes suspicious. She calls the director of the Prut and invites her to visit to find out about Esther's past. It turns out that Esther has a long trail of mishaps and accidents behind her. Strange falls, sudden fires, injuries and deaths. The previous family who decided to take her in died in a fire. While the adults are discussing her past, Esther has already found the key to the safe and pulled out a revolver. After that, she takes Max and goes outside. She begins to wait for Abigail, the director of the orphanage, to return. Upon seeing her car, Esther intentionally pushes the deaf girl Max right under the wheels of the car. Sister Abigail manages to make an emergency U-turn and stop. She runs out of the car and rushes over to the frightened Max. However, this was only part of Esther's plan. While she tries to calm the girl down, Esther silently sneaks up behind her and strikes Abigail in the head with a hammer. The woman falls unconscious. Esther then, along with Max, drags Abigail's body away from the road and hides it. Afterwards, having covered up all traces of the crime, she returns home. The next day, Kate decides to take Esther to a psychologist without suspecting anything. As a result, the doctor recommends Kate to pay more attention to her adopted daughter. At home, Kate is contacted by the shelter staff and informed that her sister Abigail is missing. Soon the police arrive at the Coleman home. The couple do not remember anything suspicious and cannot give any clues as to the possible whereabouts of the missing orphanage director. Kate begins to suspect Esther of insincerity and starts searching the internet for information about childhood mental disorders. During her search, she finds data on the illness previously mentioned by the murdered Abigail. However, John, Kate's husband, refuses to believe his wife. To mend their relationship, John suggests that Esther do something nice for Kate. Esther plucks roses growing on the grave of Kate's deceased daughter and brings them to the woman. This gesture causes Kate to become hysterical. She pushes Esther aside. Later, Esther finds a vise, puts her hand in it, screws in the mechanism, and breaks her forearm. This is done to make Kate look like an abusive mother. As a result, she is taken to the hospital where doctors diagnose the fracture. John accuses Kate of abuse. However, the woman claims that she did not grab Esther with such force as to seriously injure her. Shocked by what has happened, Kate goes to the store to buy alcohol. The next morning, Kate drives the children to school. Following her son, Kate gets out of the car. Esther takes the car off the handbrake and jumps out of the car. The car with Max inside begins to roll down the sloping road. After driving a few hundred meters, the car hits a snowdrift and stops. At home, John finds a full bottle of wine and declares to his wife his intention to send her to a drug treatment center. At the same time, Daniel learns from Max that Esther killed Abigail.
The boy goes to the treehouse for clues.
However, as soon as he goes inside, Esther sets the structure on fire. Daniel tries to escape the fire but falls from the tree, injuring his neck and losing consciousness. Esther intends to kill the boy with a rock, but at the last moment Max saves him. Half-dead Daniel is taken to the intensive care unit. Later, Esther sneaks into his room and disconnects the boy from the ventilator.
Max urgently informs Kate. The doctor manages to save Daniel in time.
Kate lashes out at Esther in anger and punches her on the cheek. The doctors grab her and administer sleeping pills. John believes that depression has driven his wife insane. Left alone, John drinks a bottle of wine and smokes in the living room. Esther sits down next to him and tries to seduce him. Later, Kate receives a call from a mental institution. The doctor informs her of shocking information. Esther is not really a child. The girl's real name is Lena Klemmer. She is 33 years old. The woman suffers from a rare genetic disease, hypopituitarism, because of which her growth and appearance remained at the level of a child. Lena has a criminal record and a series of tragic events. According to information obtained from a psychiatric clinic, Klemmer had a criminal record and followed a well-developed pattern. She entered the foster family, established contact, and then tried to become intimate with the foster father. If she refused, she would destroy all family members and set the house on fire to cover up the crime. Beneath her vintage-style clothing, the woman concealed a corset that served to disguise secondary sexual characteristics. Kate got into her car and headed home. On the way, she tried unsuccessfully to contact her husband. Meanwhile, Lena Clement had another psychotic episode. She cut the electricity in the house and stabbed John Coleman to death. Then the criminal opened the safe where the firearm was stored, loaded it, and prepared for new actions. Upon returning home, Kate discovered the body of her murdered husband. After a moment of shock, the woman began looking for her daughter Max. At that moment, Clement opened fire, wounding Kate in the arm. An attempt to take cover led Kate to the glass roof, from where she saw Max trying to evade pursuit. Kate shattered the glass and fell from the top right on top of Lena. She pretended to pass out. Kate disarmed the perpetrator, took Max, and tried to leave the house. However, Clement grabbed a knife and began to pursue. A struggle ensued between the women on the frozen lake. During the physical confrontation, Clement stabbed Kate several times. At this point, Max raised his gun and fired, wounding the perpetrator. Both women, Kate and Lena, fell through the ice. Despite her injuries, Kate was able to fight off her attacker and make her way to the surface. When Clement tried to grab her leg, appealing for compassion and motherly feelings, Kate pushed her away with force. Lena Clement drowned and disappeared into the ice hole. This is where the movie ends. If you want to see more videos like this, don't forget to subscribe and put a like on the channel. See you soon.